It's a very, very different approach, and it's very, very fast. Collaboration at Beeswax, we're over 100 people, 50 or so FileMaker developers work on all kinds of different projects, and we normally never staff our projects as an individual person. So it's never just one person working on a project. It's usually a team of people. So two people working together, a designer, an IT for supporting the structure and the backups of the server and the maintenance and all this. So it's a whole team of people. And one of the things is this tool is going to become one of our central kind of hubs of information. So there's things that you can do in this that you can't do naturally in FileMaker. So collaboration and also giving you insight into your solution. So I don't mind being interrupted for questions. So if you have a question, we can just do it as we go, and I'll repeat the question so that it's recorded. Yeah, we actually do have customers and projects in Europe. Um, who was it? No, no. What's his name? I forget his name, but the British guy. Uh, not you. Alec is here. He's my colleague as well, but I don't remember his name. He was here in Malmo 2 years ago. But anyway, we work with people in Europe as well. Yes. Um, okay, so workflow comparisons, just to give you kind of like the evolution a little bit of where we came from. So with Inspector 7, uh, Inspector Pro is hosted on the server. You opened up your solution, and you wanted to generate a DDR. It sends a request to generate the DDR. You have to wait for it to come and generate on your machine. So there's all this delay to pull the DDR down. It's very inefficient because then you're pushing it back up to the server to send it to get processed. So first you have to pull it down, which is slow. Then you have to move it back to the server. So download, upload it to Inspector, not able to be scripted, and not server compatible, and it's very slow. By the way, save a copy as XML is even slower. So if you ever have a solution where you know modest size system and you decide, okay, I want to use save a copy as XML and it's hosted, you're going to wait a very long time for that to generate locally. The beauty of save a copy as XML is that it can be scripted, and so the difference is in this workflow for version 8, Inspector doesn't even have to be open on the client. So the solution sends a command to generate the XML that tells inspector where it is, and it starts processing it right away. So save the copy as XML as server compatible. We have an add-on that you can add into your solution and then just drag and drop it onto your layout, and then all you need to configure is just an ID number for the solution, and you're up and running. A comment can be added for each analysis. And again, Inspector Pro doesn't even need to be hosted. It's very, very fast on the server. So, okay, so here's a comparison a little bit also from an architectural point of view. This was Inspector. This was the graph in Inspector 7, and this is the graph in Inspector 8. So, a huge difference in architecting it as well, and simplification. So we went from 339 tables to 242 tables. That's almost 30% drop. Table occurrences, we had all like an 80% drop in table occurrences, and 438 relationships to 14. The file opens up very, very quickly, and it's very, very efficient. The other thing is one of the main places of work for Inspector is the dependency table. So if you have a field and it's referenced by a value list, there's that fact is recorded in the dependency table. And so we dropped the number of fields in that intersection to 17. And the reason for that is because save a copy as XML uses IDs as it also has UUIDs. So instead of using the ID, which would need to be resolved by other IDs and other attributes like the file name and the ID and the table name. Let's say you're referring to a field. We only need to refer to the UUID and the file name. So it simplifies how we relate things together. It's less fields to add in a dependency table, and so makes it lighter and faster. So processing comparison between 7 and 8. Again, when we had the DDR, if you did 100 analyses of a small mid-sized solution, every analysis is every single object. It's going to store that in a database. Over time, after 100 analyses, you might end up with 2 million, 3 million records in Inspector across different tables. In 8, we don't do that anymore. 8, the first analysis is everything, and then every subsequent analysis is just the deltas, like what's changed. Okay, and we'll talk more about just the changes a little bit later as well too. But the fact is that you can do 100 analyses literally in 10 minutes. You can run them one after another. Every time you make a change, you run it. It's a few seconds to update, etc. So it runs very quickly. Whereas in Inspector 7, you'd run 100 analyses, it might take you 18 hours. And the file size is really, really big. So that's gone. That's now in the past. That's version 7. Version 8 is very lightweight. It's basically one-to-one representation with what your system is. So if you're refactoring code, you have a lot of code you're discovering, oh, we have these scripts, we don't use them anymore. We have these fields or layouts, they're not needed anymore. You actually delete them, there's fewer records in Inspector. The only records that continually get added are the history records of the changes that you made, whether you added something, modified something, or deleted something. Okay? So here's a demo. This is how you can create a new solution and then add the integration. So the button up there just creates a new solution. You type in the solution name and then the central file name that you're working with, and then you say create. And I'll fast forward this a little bit. So now you have a solution, let's say contacts, and you can add the add-on. Let's say here we can add the add-on. We just add the add-on, and then all you need to do is just drag the add-on to the layout, right? You can put it anywhere you want. And then when you go to browse mode and you click on the add-on, all you have to do is enter in here that number that's on the left, 472. And that's it. The add-on is configured. You can type a comment, and then once you finish your comment, all you need to do is hit return, and it runs on the server. So that's how you set up the add-on very, very easily. There's three other integration options. Once you have the solution created, you have manual upload, you have window names, and the API integration. So the manual upload is just like what you had with Inspector 7. You generate the XML, could be in a local file or whatever. You already have the XML, and then you just send it to the server, and it processes it for that solution. The other method is using the integration. So here's we're gonna make a change here. We go to let's see, we go to the integration. From Inspector, you can choose window names. Again, you can add a comment. You just have to type in the name of the window for which you want the XML generated. This file is hosted, and I'm not going to make you wait for it, but that's what I was saying before. You'll see how long it is. It's very, very long, so I'm going to fast forward here. It's a small file, so you can imagine with a medium-sized system how long you'd be waiting. So I definitely do not recommend generating the XML while a file is hosted. But you can do this when you're developing locally. You have a file locally. You can just say window names, and then it generates the XML, and then you have to just wait for the time for it to transfer to the server. Okay, so and the last option is the integration with the add-on that we have. So I'll make some changes here, and then we'll run the last integration option, and we'll see the change there that kicks off. So this method here needs the address, the name of the file, and the script that you're running. Okay, so the script is the script that's in there that you added from the add-on. It's processing the data on the server. It already generated the XML, processes it, and then it's done. And so here's all the changes that got recorded by what I just did. Okay, so any questions with regards to that? Yes. Uh-huh. Okay. Oh yeah. So you have a system for a customer on a different server, but you're already tracking it, right? And you want to see if they've made any changes to it. What you could do is you could generate the XML before you import it, and then just before you update your copy of changes, you want to see if they made any changes. Generate the XML just at that moment, and then run it in there. It should come up with no changes because the way we run it is the first thing we do is the file names have to be the same, so that's one requirement. Next, we check the hash of the files. Ever since they got rid of the timestamp inside the XML, now it'll record any metadata changes in the XML. But if there's and so they got rid of the number of records in the table, the timestamp that the XML was generated, and thus it's just the metadata. So if they made any changes, it'll pick it up and it'll show you like these are the changes that were made. So you can check it that way. Um, because you can run so many analyses, it's not unrealistic that you could have hundreds or thousands of analyses. Maybe over time you might want to reset it and start over, like maybe a new sprint, or you did a release and now you're starting work and you want to just start from that point. We have a couple of options for this, and then on the far left you have a little gear settings, and you can delete or reset a solution. So like resetting will give you this message to warn you, and this will remove all the analysis data and the history data for that solution, but the solution record will stay there. And so the solution record stays there, and all the members that you've added to be able to see the solution will also stay there, and all the tags and comments will stay there. But if you delete it, if you click delete, you can also hold down the option key when you click it, and you click delete, it will remove the solution entirely and it'll be gone. So there's resetting and deleting. Okay. Okay. So about this concept of staying in the zone, right? So you're doing work. So I'm going to make some layout changes here. So I change the name of the layout. I toggle some of these flags, and I'll change the enable quick find and record context of what table occurrence is going to get rendered here. So made those changes. I think I do one other change, and I make a change here. I think I delete that button, and then I'm going to run it. So I can hold down the option key, and it'll run it. And so now I can click on view, and it'll show me the layout object was deleted, and here's all the attribute changes to the layout. And so that's all happening on the server. So the best thing you can get your team to do, as soon as they make a small change, you're going to ask them just to write a small comment and run it, just it stays current. The other thing you can do is you can set up a script schedule to run every few minutes, and the users and your developers will not have to even worry about running it. The downside of that is that you don't have the developer comments as to what they did. But so this is another example. We're making some changes to an account, and we process it, and then we'll make another change, and then we'll delete the account, and we'll show you like how to view it even if it's deleted. So here's the account changes. Again, that's just one change, but if you had other changes like value lists and fields, they would all get listed. All right. So now I'm going to go show that account. So I'm going to go look for the account. I'm going to search it. This tells you that there's this history of changes on that object. And so here's all the changes. The account existed at the time that you imported the first analysis, and then there was changes made, right? So now I'm going to make some more changes to the account and change the privilege set, add a little longer description here, and then I'll set that require password change. So I'm going to run it again. This time I can put this is an old add-on. This recording was was done before we improved the UI for the add-on. So this is an old recording. Okay, so changes to Julia account. And so that's already done. It already ran, right? So here's the first set of changes. Here's the next set of changes. And then it says the account still exists. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and delete the account. So now I'm going to go here. I'm going to delete the account. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to process it again. And Julia's account is gone from Inspector. So they removed it because it's no longer there. I can search for it by the name, and I can also see the history of the object even though it was deleted. So here's it was existing, modified, and then it got deleted. The little red bar on the side there tells you that it was deleted. So it's tracking changes as you go. It's not meant to, really Inspector's goal isn't meant to have this system and I have worked on it for 3 months and I want to compare what's different between it. It will keep track of changes incrementally. So you'll see the changes as you make them. Any questions about that? Yes. How often do you hit the process button? I mean, maybe you're working for 5 minutes or writing a script. You're at a good stopping point. You can hit the process button. Or you think that the script, you've tested it, it's working right. You can hit the process button, and then you can see what state it is. There's different ways to think about it, like depending on the type of work that you're doing. Okay, so I'll show the dashboard here. Let me show you an example. So here is the dashboard on a system here called inventory, and you see these gray bars, right? These gray bars, like so, out of all the styles, I have 211 styles. I have 90% of the styles are unreferenced. So to me, this is like if I wanted to refactor something, these are kind of like places where I would go. Like I have 5 layouts, 2 of them are not used. I would have to also check if I use any layout indirection and any things like that. But I could go and target certain things to get these numbers very low to kind of get rid of all the stuff that I don't need anymore. Like for example, there's 3 scripts in here that are not needed. I could go and remove them. So that's one way to think about it. All right. What is this one? This one is, so the other thing is you can also, instead of running it yourself, you can run it on a schedule. And so you'll see the ones with the letter S there when it was generated. And that'll tell you that these are all the analyses that have been run for the meetings file. The letter M means I ran it manually, and the latest run tells you all the numbers of calculation dependencies, items, and problems that exist in the system at that time. Okay, let's look at some layout styles. So if we look at layout, and we'll look at this layout in particular, styles feature here. We go to layout mode. That is a default style. The next group of 5 are theme styles. Then there's layout styles, and then there's local styles. So the layout styles have been created as a style but not saved into the theme, and these ones are modified but not saved as a style. So if I go look at that layout, so I go look for it. Okay, so there's the styles feature, and I go to the tab says styles. I'll see that I have 1 default, 5 themed, 5 layout, and 10 local styles. So again, I'm going to move this down. I'm going to make changes to the layout, and I'm going to make these into a theme style that I added or created. I'm going to create these as also a theme style, right? So now I'm going to run it. Okay, I'm going to run it here with the integration. It's running, and if you look here, these numbers here are going to flop over to 20 there. All the other ones are gone, and now it tells you like okay, I corrected the problems on that layout. I had some styles that were not part of a, like objects that were not styled or not given a theme style, and so I can do that. And so that's this idea of like working. Every time you make changes, you get the feedback very shortly after. Okay. Okay, adding users. So you can add users to Inspector. You have two different types of users. You have an administrative user and just an inspector user. And so this one here, let's see, fast forward this a little bit. So I'm going to add a user, their email, and again, there's an InspectorPro user and an admin user. And the InspectorPro user, you have two options. You have an option to allow the user to create their own solutions. But if you don't choose that, then whenever you add that user can only see solutions that they are a member of. If you don't allow them to create any solutions, then they can't create any solutions. So now I've added a person, and this is where you go to add members for your solution here. It could be a multi-file solution. It doesn't have to be just one file. Okay, so there's I'm adding myself as a manager, Tony Mennano, my dad as a manager. I'm an architect, and I'm adding Brendan as a developer. Okay, so now these three people, whether they're admins or users, they would see that. If they're admins, they would see everything. But if they're users, now they can see that because they're members of that solution. All right, locating items. So sometimes you have an object on a layout and you know, maybe it has a problem or something. And so this is located at 433, 235, right? So that object. So we go to that layout. Let's go open up the dashboard, navigate to the layout, go and search for that layout by name. And so there's the layout. Let's look at all the objects on the layout. So there's the text object right there. If you hover over it, you'll get the absolute location of the coordinates of where the object is, because that object is contained within a panel, right? So like that's the panel it's contained within, right? So now if I go to layout mode and I move that object out of the panel, and then I run inspector, right? I held the option key down, I pressed it, that object will move out of the panel. So now it's no longer contained within the panel. It doesn't have a parent object, right? And so that fact is also recorded. So there's parent panel, parent object type is no longer a thing, right? And it tells you the location of it. So that's recorded as a change. And then if I just go to layout mode and undo my change and then run it again, we'll see that the object actually then moves, like I still have the object selected, it moves back into where it was within the panel. So there's very nice UI and feedback about where objects are. Also, I'm scrolling through here. I live in Florida. The server's in California. The performance is very, very good. It's very, very, very fluid. Okay, additional information and problems. Sometimes there's so much information that we either have these sub-tabs at the top, like where it says General, Styles, and Settings. And sometimes we have these popovers to show additional information. So these are layout script triggers. And so whenever you have a script trigger, you'll see a little icon. You'll get the number of script triggers, and then you click on that little icon, and then you get the details of what are the scripts, in what mode they are triggering in, and if there's any problems with them, then you get a warning sign over there as well. If you have problems, right? You can hover over, you can click on the warning icon, and it would list out all the problems that exist for this solution. Okay, so let's see, how are we doing time-wise? We're good? All right, let's see, dropping indexes. This is something that we added in I can't remember when we added it, but I guess it was done just very at the very end of the last minute thing. So let me back up 1 second here. Let me explain this. So what we're going to do is we're going to show the schema, and we're going to see that there are indexes for some of those fields there. You know, the status, the due date, etc. So oftentimes, Users might search on things and create indexes because you have that option to create indexes when you need them. And with Inspector, it'll show you the index here, all. There's an option that we can use with OData that, so what you can do is you can click the little icon there at the top. You fill out the information, an account name and password that has OData enabled, and you can do it on the found set or you can do it on the selected record. And what you can do is you can drop the index right from Inspector in your system. So that's just the dialogue for testing, but basically it would perform the action on all the records if you had it for the found set, and it would find all the records that have indexes and remove them. And if we look, just to confirm, I can run it with Inspector. Those are gone. And if we look in the schema, the indexes are gone in the file. So it's very, very handy if you want to. It's a very tedious process to remove the indexes on every field. You have to go to the dialog, every field, you have to click it, you have to OK it. With Inspector, you could do it on a batch of records for a table. And if the field is needed for a relationship, it won't delete it. Okay, so it won't delete an index if it's used in a relationship. So this will save you some time. Well, I won't actually, I think it doesn't remove it in the first place. So, yeah. Okay. I'd have to double check and confirm that on because I've seen it where it complains that it can't remove it because it's used. So I'm not sure because if it's currently in use or something, but like normally with I think the developer tool, you can say remove indexes and then it just recreates them when it needs them. But I'd have to double check that for you. Okay. We have the ability to add tags to anything. So like up at the top there, this is the tag management. And so you enter, there's some tags in there already that I can use across my solution, like prototype, ARS, refactor, optimize, to do. I'm adding another tag called investigate. So now I have all these tags that are available, and I can apply those tags to anything in Inspector. Scripts, value lists, fields, tables, layouts. So I'm going to apply this tag to a script. I'm going to apply this tag to a script, right? So now I can see those tags. And the same thing with tags you can also have with comments. So if you wanted to add a comment to a script, a field, a value list, or whatever, you can add the comments. And what's cool about it is the comments and the tags, they persist. So like if you reset this solution and you have 1,000 analyses and you start importing again, the tags will reappear. They're not removed. So the tags and the notes will reappear. Okay, so I'm adding some more tags here. You can search for tags. You can search for tags within, a script, right? So you type in the tag name, it'll find all the places where the tag exists. You can toggle to view the tags or not view the tags. So, and you can remove them on the current item or in the found set. So there's all kinds of options. So now the demo tag has been removed from all of those records. All right, any questions about that? No? Okay. At the last minute, we were in ETS. We were we were also testing the AI functions. So you have semantic searching. So in Inspector, we have the ability to search on the meaning of your script. So what we do is, so each of these scripts, like over here, you'll see a number of steps. And so that, if you click there, you'd see all the steps of the script. We take all the steps as a textual representation of the script. We send that to ChatGPT, and then we ask for a summary. We actually get two summaries, a very concise summary, which is one sentence or something about what the script is, or like a paragraph, like what this script is doing, you know? And so if you inherit a solution or you have an old solution you haven't worked on in a long time, so instead of looking over a script that's 200 lines or 400 lines of scripting, you can get a summary of the script. Once you have this summary, we use the summary and generate what is called an embedding, and then you can search on those embeddings semantically. So if you use a model that is a multimodal model with multiple language support, I can type in English or French or Italian, and it will find the meaning even though I typed in a different language and even though the embedding was generated in English. So it's very powerful if you want to search for, you know, what the script is doing in terms of the meaning of what the script is doing. So any questions about that? No? Okay. Yes. There's two parts to that. The things that we're using is we're using an integration with OpenAI, but it's open to be able to use it with other providers. So like, for example, in here, you would go to here and you would set up your information in here, what the API endpoint is, what the model, the embedding model that you're using, etc. Right? You would fill in those. It doesn't have to be just OpenAI. It could be some other provider as well. So yes. Mhm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It could definitely like if you've got a lot of code in a system, like go into not here, but you go into some of these scripts that can be very long, rather than try and figure out like, oh my God, what is this script doing? Whatever. You can actually just read a summary. So for example, let's see this one here. Let's look at let's see this script. So here's a script that is like 122 steps. Like this is what the script looks like over here, right? So these are all the steps of the script, right? So instead of trying to read that and follow all that logic, right? What you could do is just come to the little popover. Where was it? This 122 right here. So you click on the AI thing, and here you have this script creates a user account, validates required fields, check for duplicate accounts, creates a FileMaker account if necessary, updates fields, and then closes the window. That's the generative text of the summary of the script as a single sentence. You have a longer one. You have a little bit longer. You have two of them. You have this one that's a little bit longer. It also handles error messages and locking records during the process. So if we looked at the script, it's, we spot check these and they're fairly good. They're fairly accurate. And the other thing is if you add comments in your script, it uses the comments almost as like markdown in a sense. It's like, oh, this section does this and this section does that. So it's very, very cool what's possible. That's what this does. It uses the summary. It first gets the summary, then it generates an embedding based on the summary. And so now duplicate records. Let's say I search for duplicate records. Okay, so actually this is this logicator search. So now that script, where is it? There it is, right there. The fourth one or fifth one down, right? That it found the meaning of duplicate records within that embedding or using that summary. Okay. No, like once you set it up in the configuration, once you have that configuration, when you process the analysis, it does every script when you're on your first analysis. And then any script that is changed, it will then reprocess that, will regenerate the embedding, It'll send the text to ChatGPT, regenerate the summary, and then it'll generate an embedding based on that summary. So it'll update the record to have a more accurate like a representation of it. So you don't have to do them manually. It does it as part of the processing. Okay, that's semantic search. How are we doing for time? What was the other one? This is all the processing that happens on the server. You can run Inspector locally, but it's not fun. You don't want to do that because it's like it's running. If that's your only copy of FileMaker, the running the script generation is happening. It's tying up your copy to work with. That happens on the server, and there's a little visual indicator on the dashboard to tell you that it's because that's a post process. So once the analysis is done, you can start looking at your system, the embeddings and the summaries. Those are happening in the background, so you can still start using it. So let me think. Yeah, calculations that are commented out. Okay, so that would mean that there's like a field missing or something like that. That you do get warnings for calculations that have problems. So you could find those calculations and go figure out what the problem is. So like the table, yeah. Right, right. Oh, yeah, I see. Like at the beginning, you could search for the string just across all calculations, and so all calculations are normalized. So if you see the calculation icon there, you're searching across all the calculations in this solution. So if you have multiple files, you can search. You can do the logicator search. You can search on all the calculations, or you can specify a specific file to search the calculations in, etc. So. Mhm. Yeah, like let's see here if I have any um, like this one here, but I don't know. Let's see this one here. Not sure what that is. Hold on. So, for example, there's what would be a good example? Like this one here. Like if I click on just the number of steps, I'll get all the steps. But if I click on the warning icon, it'll take me to all the steps that are broken. Right? So like if you look at it sub-summarized by script, right? So over here you'll see this step is telling me that there's a function missing for that script step, and that's in this script called mail it plugin register, right? So maybe the plugin was not there at the time this was generated. It's at step 31, and and that's the step, the script step, right? So how many of you have seen the new feature with quick open quickly, right? So open quickly is kind of laying the foundation for what I've been asking for a long time, which is deep linking. So like if I see this problem, I would want to be able to have a link to take me to that script, to that step, and fix the problem. Right now, I have to go manually open up the file, go to script workspace, or I could open quickly and then type in the name of the script and maybe it'll take me there. But what the future potential would be eventually would be that deep linking is enabled for developers like myself, and then we could take advantage of it and say, okay, you want to fix this, click here, it'll take you right to the step in the script, and you can just fix it and then run it, and then that problem would disappear, basically. Yeah, I mean, I asked Clay, and I keep asking. I bug them a lot for different things. so, so Clay said we need to do some. We have to establish like some plumbing first, and the plumbing is the open quickly. That is the first step. That is, the eventuality of getting deep linking. So now that open quickly is there, and it's getting refined and made better. Maybe in some future version we'll have deep linking. So very cool. Yes. Yeah. 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 Of course. I can show you a demo of this. Let me see time wise. Yeah, we're good. So just a few other things, and then I'll show you a demo of that. So we added recently in a recent update, we're starting to look at ways to blend in some of the logging information and augment the value of the data that you see. So we're able to just drop the top call log into the solution, and then what it'll do is as it processes the log on the server, it'll tell you, like in this list of tables, hey, the analysis table is showing up 989 times in the top call log, and I can click that little button, and it'll generate a report of all the places where that is showing up in the top call log. And we also replace, this is the verbiage in the top call log. What you would see here is an ID. Here you would see an ID. So you don't really know what table or field it is. And what we do is we process it, and we remap that data to the actual table and field or layout or script or whatever. So it can give you some insight into why is this, why is this layout showing up so many times in the top call log, and a way to start investigating what might be the issue there. So, okay, so before we do this, let me show you what you were just referring to. So let's see. This is the inventory file. So let's see here. So I have this is a live demo. I never do live demos, but I'm tempting the gods here. All right. So this, by the way, this copy of Inspector is somewhere on the West Coast. So it's nowhere near here. So I have over here. I have these 8 references of this test script. Okay, so if I click on that number, it'll bring up a report, and it'll be summarized by area. So basically, I have a script step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 that call this script. So I have 8 references of this script. That script, called the what is it called? Script step. Oh yeah, script. What is the name of that? It just tells me the step. I can go to it, right? So this thing here is in the. It's called the example, for lack of a better name. So that example script, if I go look at it again in a list of scripts, and we're going to have something better in the future, but basically this example script is unreferenced. There's no references to it. So the fact that this script calls that script 7 times, I could remove those references by just removing the example script. So this is just an example. You would never write code like this, but the example script calls the test script 7 times, so that's 7 out of 8. And the other reference is the button on the layout. So let me go ahead and delete this script. Okay, so 7 references will be removed. So let me run it. Let me hold the Option key down or run it. And so it's running on the server, and then this number gets updated, and then it's just going to be a 1 eventually. Yes, that's why I don't do live demos. There it is. Okay, so the example script got removed, the references got updated. So there's 1 reference still. So if I look at that, and it's like, okay, what is that? I still have 1 place where that script is called. And if I, explore the solution, etc., that script is called on product details layout. It's a button, right? It's performing a script. That's this button right here. And so I can double click it just to confirm, right? That's the test script. So I can remove this button as well. The button is gone. I'm going to type a message, refactored layout, blah, blah, blah. I never type and talk at the same time, so I can't type it. So that's going to record the fact that I deleted that button, and this script is going to drop down to 0. So now that script has 0 references. I can remove that, right? So like I'm trimming down the system to only have the code that is really essential to be running. Okay, so if I go look at the dashboard again, maybe we should have looked at this before we started, but if you look here, script, we have 11 scripts, 3 of them are unreferenced, and so now those 3 scripts, let's see, I removed it, so I could go remove that script. We'll drop down to 2 because I think that script is still there, right? So this test script has no references, and if I remove that, then you'll have 2 unreferenced scripts, etc., etc. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay. 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 Last thing, and then we can take more questions. But this is something that actually I should do it from here because we can hear the audio. And my friend and colleague at work, Alec, here, is helping basically architect how this is going to be used. But basically, what we have is we have Inspector and we have Get integration. So directly from Inspector, you'll be able to see changes in a system. So I'll play this, and this is a recording that Russ did. And basically, Alec is in the UK, I'm in Florida, and Brendan is in Japan. So 3 different time zones, and we're collaborating together, and you'll see like what the output is when you run this. So,
okay, here is my art gallery selling solution, and I need to add an account for the manager of the gallery. I can add an account. Password, and I think they can be read only. Okay, that's my change for today. So like a good dev, I will process that in InspectorPro. Okay, let's
again the process button gives you the option. If you hold the option key down, you can run it. You don't have to type a message. You just want to get it out of the way. So it's this idea of staying in the zone. I want to keep working, but I want to process it. So clicking option, hold the option key down. When you press it, it just runs it. Yeah. No, this you need to place it only on one layout, on like one developer layout or whatever, and it's hidden only. It should be only hidden for developers to see. So. Okay, so Brendan added the account.
That
okay, so
account I created.
And
GitHub.
So now we're going to go check out that account.
Gallery manager. If I go to current, it'll show me the current state. See there, account name, some metadata, and then the details of the account. Looking good.
So I want to make a change
Brendan
to
is
the
in Japan.
account that Alec added. So in my solution, I will go to File, Manage Security. Let's check out the Gallery Manager. And I'm going to update the description. So Brendan updated the description. Okay, that's the only change I'll make. Let's save that. And then let's reprocess it. So I can process it right from InspectorPro. If I click this, come here, click Run. And there we go. My changes are processed.
I'm going to make another change. I'm actually going to change this account because I added a manager privilege set. So I'm just going to go ahead and change the privilege set to manager for the gallery manager, and added a note there, and I'm going to process it right from here. Click Run, and it's running, and it's done. Off to you, Alec.
All right. So I want to look at this gallery manager account, and I know it's changed a bit, but I don't really know what's happened since I've been away. So I'm going to look at the Git blame to understand who has responsibility for its current state. So it looks like me and Vince are the culprits. So you'll see the full file, see what I did and what Vince did and when. So,
Uh, this is a representation of the state of that account and who is the last person to have made changes where, right? So, and because I made changes to the same things that Brendan made, like Brendan made a comment change. So I basically take over the comment and then the most recent change is mine. So this is like showing you the state of the account kind of re-represented, or as if you were to cut up like words and stick them back together, so to speak, right? And I don't know if I made a good statement of how that's represented, but this is the current state in a sense, but with blame attribution.
you'll see we're kind of intermingled here, but yeah, Vince has made changes more recently, so um, it's his fault in my analysis. Okay, let's go and look at the history to see what's happened. So I've hit the Git history button, and we can see at a high level that it was initially committed in the baseline by myself, and then Brendan made a change, and then Vince made a change. And we can sort of see what happened between changes by clicking here. You'll see that Brendan updated the description. That's the significant change. We go back, you can see what happened between Vince and Brendan's, and you'll see that Vince made a few more changes.
So what I did was I changed the description from Brendan's description, but I also changed the privilege set, right? So I changed the privilege set to manager, the ID of the privilege set, and the UUID of the privilege set. This is just the skeleton of working. Eventually, this will be for every single aspect in a system, a layout, a field, a script, a table, whatever. You'll have information represented, and this, by the way, is not in the web. It's not on the web. It's embedded inside FileMaker. So you don't have to go look up the account in GitHub or whatever and look at that data. You have it all right here. Yes. Yes. Yeah, and checked in to get. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so have a wrap-up slide here, and then we could take some questions. So recap, again, the goal with this release was really to kind of keep you in the flow of your work, to get out of the way. So like do something, you can document it in the background, you can get back to work. You can get it to run in the background. We script schedules in the future. There may be other opportunities that we can take advantage of. It's re-architected from version 7 to 8. It's ground up re-architected. This is very different. It's one-to-one, which means that whatever you have in your system is what is a representation in Inspector. So if you have 100 scripts, it'll have 100 scripts. You have 95, it'll go down to 95. So it's no longer, your system isn't going to bloat like the last version because it would gobbling up every analysis, every analysis. It's got history tracking built in, and we leverage that to be able to integrate with Get. So the history tracking is cool, and we can show you changes in Inspector, but with the Get integration, it's 1,000 times better, Okay, we got notes and tags on anything like I showed. We have attribution that comes from the XML output. We have logicator searching. It's a subscription-based pricing now. We have global searching, which you can search across schema, calculations, and history. We also have new capabilities and features that we keep adding and that come up in the XML. We take advantage of those. A perfect example is now we're starting to import some logs. Top call log is one of them. Script event log is going to be another one that's coming, and we have a lot of other ideas coming. So that GitHub integration is really early building, and that will be available early next year. So that's you can get a 20% discount code on your first license, and that's the code that you could use to get the discount. And I have 3 more minutes. If you have any other questions, I'm happy. It's an annual basis.